Hey guys, it's Lily here, and today we're going to be doing another Skullgirls tutorial. Today I'm going to be doing a tutorial on the CEREBELLA+FILIA node in Ascent of a Woman Master. I made a post a few days ago asking you guys, hey, I want to make a tutorial since I haven't done them in a little bit, but I don't know what tutorial to do. So I asked you guys if you were struggling on any nodes or whatever, and to tell me about them so I can make a tutorial on it. And this lovely user up here suggested that I go back to Ascent of a Woman Master. So that's what we're doing today. Some of the nodes in Ascent of a Woman, I don't think anybody really struggled with too much, but there are still quite a few that I can go over, and this is one of them. This was definitely one of the nodes that I struggled with probably the most as well, next to other ones that I've also gone over. It was just really hard, and the main reason why it was hard was not because these two fighters were together, because it's specifically dreadlocks and armed forces together. It's really armed forces that makes it really hard, because she gets unflinching and she can get a whole bunch of armor, and not only does that lower the damage that she takes, and there's already like a damage cap because of Aegis, which means that you can only knock off 1% of health per hit, but with the unflinching, it's hard to really get like a good lengthy combo on her, because as soon as you really get into the groove, she gets unflinching and then she can just counterattack, and that's what really makes it hard. But Filia is actually pretty easy to kill. 9 times out of 10 she also won't have a burst either, so that makes her even easier. Like, it's easier for that. Like, she's just super easy to kill. You really don't have to worry about dreadlocks. It's really armed forces that really makes this whole node annoying. And then when you finally get rid of her, then you have to deal with dreadlocks, and then that's what makes most people lose, because they only have like a minute left, or even less possibly. But with my strategy that I used to win at the time, and I still do, you'll be able to beat this with ease, so let's get into it. Now then, first things first, I'm going to tell you what fighter you're going to need to use. Now then, of course, when you enter the node, it says no diamonds and they all must be dark. You're able to use 3 fighters against 2. Now then, that sounds like you have an advantage, but as hard as it is to get rid of armed forces, it honestly doesn't matter. But you're going to be using Graveyard Shift. Yes, Graveyard Shift. She is the best one to use for this node. Plus, I know for newer players who might be trying to beat this node, I know they might not have a lot of money, so it's also best to use Graveyard Shift, because she's cheaper and she can inflict Curse and Heal block. Healing isn't really an issue in this node, but Curse definitely is a big advantage, because Curse can prevent armed forces from getting unflinching and armor for a certain amount of time. It doesn't last too long, but it lasts just enough to get a good ground and air combo in before she gains unflinching and armor. And even then, that doesn't happen immediately. And of course, now we need to get into how to actually equip her so that way you're pretty much guaranteed to win. Well then, here's the equipment that you need to put right here. It's going to be on the screen. And I recommend to have them all level 4 or higher. Obviously 3 to unlock the basically advantage with each move, but I always recommend upgrading them just a few levels over that, just to up the chance of the actual buffs and debuffs happening, because obviously with Ascent of a Woman, most people might know this. If you don't, that's fine, but pretty much most of it you can get away with just using fighters that just give a lot of bleed. Obviously most Valentine moves kits, you can equip her in a way where she can deal a lot of bleed without it even being in her signature ability. But another good fighter that can cause bleed whether or not her blockbusters do is Pyrotechnique. So if you do have Pyrotechnique, and you were definitely lucky to get her, I would definitely, she's a big help in the story mode. I definitely recommend using her if you do have her. I have her. She's diamond and she's also shiny. Not to flex or anything, but with most of these nodes I can't really use her anyways, but the nodes that you can and there aren't really too many restrictions, definitely recommend using her, because it'll make your life so much easier. Plus she gets enraged and she even inflicts withers. That'll just make it so much easier. It doesn't affect special moves obviously, but still wither can be so helpful, especially when you're trying to get so many hits in, and it just makes it so much easier. But of course, like I said, not every node lets you use diamonds, so that's the only downside. But when you can use diamonds and there isn't some type of elemental restriction, I definitely recommend using her. But we're going to be using Graveyard Shift. This is how we're going to have her equipped. And then we're going to talk about the fighters that we're going to pair her with. Now then, she doesn't really need that much support, and because these are like kind of lower level fighters and stuff, and because of the way that the node is, she's not really going to need or get support. I pair her with Jacko Spectre and Ninja Star. They don't really do anything for her, but they both have a few multi-hit like special moves and blockbusters. And with Marie, she's actually technically a support, because if Valentine does die, she can revive her as long as she doesn't die herself. And then of course Ninja Star, she has her perks and stuff, and she'll be good to use while Valentine's healing if her health gets dangerously low. But as far as like actual like buff support and stuff, not really. But as far as like revival and stuff, and like kind of like entertaining the opponent while she's healing, yes, that kind of support, but no actual like buff support or anything. But that's what you're going to pair her with. Now then, you're not really going to use those fighters. Like I said, those are really like backup or in the meantime fighters. You're really only going to use Valentine, okay? That's literally it. And the reason why you're also going to have her equipped that way is because one of her blockbusters causes heavy bleed. A bunch of them cause regular bleed that can actually be stackable. And then, obviously you're going to need a burst to keep armed forces off of you. I always recommend having a burst. I've seen some people equip them and just not put a burst at all and really use up their whole like moveset, which I do understand, but when you're putting your fighters in like prize fights and stuff, that's not really wise, because that just makes it easy to basically get your fighter stuck in an endless combo. I just never recommend that. I've always had a burst, especially when you mess up yourself. Like this, I just feel like you should always have some type of backup. That's why I always recommend equipping a burst. I just always recommend it. I will never ever fall back on that. It's just always smart. You always want to have a backup. Now then, I also want to go over something real quick. We're also going to go over her marquee ability, because obviously every fighter has two marquee abilities. One of Valentine's marquee abilities gives her regen every time she's inflicted with a debuff, and then the other one gives her final stand when more than 10% of her max health is knocked off. Now then, both of these are great because depending on what level and whether or not your Valentine is still silver or not, these can definitely help you kind of last a little longer. If your gold isn't max level or she's still silver, I would recommend the final stand. But if she is max level, or she's pretty close to max level and she's gold, you can go ahead and go with the regen, because I mean it doesn't really matter. Plus, if she has Prestige, which I also recommend, she will also basically have built-in regen anyways. Now then, of course, if she doesn't have Prestige, then yeah, I would kind of recommend the heavy bleed. But I mean, for the most part, it doesn't really matter. But like I said, it depends on how weak she is. But I mean, other than that, it doesn't really matter. Whatever you have, like whatever marquee you have, that's pretty much fine. But this node, it's pretty difficult because of armed forces, but at the same time, it's kind of simple. So unfortunately, there's not too much to go over really here. But I'm just giving you the basics. You're gonna use Graveyard Shift. This is how you're gonna have her equipped. I'm also showing that you can use an affordable fighter to actually beat this node with ease. Always want to make sure that your blockbusters are a certain like level or whatever. And then that's pretty much all you need to beat this node. It is still very difficult though, and if you don't know these things, it can definitely take a while before you actually figure it out, like how it kind of did with me. But I always want to make things easier for you guys, so that's why I make these tutorials. But let's go ahead and go into the actual gameplay so I can explain why this works.
Tisk. It looks like we'll have to operate.
Showtime!
Oh, don't even do me! I've seen worse. You're mine.
Check it out!
Making the incision. Just a nip and tuck job. Time to apply pressure.
No way!
Let's go. Just a nip and tuck job. Making the incision. I'll patch it. Time to no place to run.
Give up? Yeah,
Deadly shot.
I've had it.
Damn.
Head case.
Time to apply pressure. Bandage fit. Just pull the plug. Don't even. Just a nip and tuck job. Want a bandage? I've seen worse. Making the incision. Your mom. Wide.
No way!
Stone cold and red hot.
Alrighty then, there you have it, a full finished tutorial on how to beat the Cerebella and Philia node. I really hope this helped you guys a whole bunch. I really love making these tutorials, especially when I get comments saying, oh my god, I was able to beat the node, your instructions were so clear, or thank you so much for your tips, I was able to beat it with your tips. It really means a lot to me. I really like hearing you guys saying that, I actually help you. It really means a lot. If you guys are struggling with any other nodes in Ascent of a Woman, or maybe any other story mode, or main mode, or just anything, definitely let me know. I would love to make a tutorial on it. It really doesn't bother me at all. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Definitely let me know if you need any help with anything. I'm always willing to give tips. I always read comments and everything. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.